So this has been kind of a long time coming. He first announced this mod back in May of 2012, or this Addy, I should say. It is very reasonably priced for a high-end Genesis-style device. Here is... Oh, there's the link. Jedi's got the link. Thank you, sir. It is 300 PLN. Which is Polish currency, comes out to around $90 US for the atomizer. The mod that it is designed to work with, the SMV2, the Sturm mod version 2, is about 220 PLN, so that's about $65. So you can get a high-end hybrid that is also a 510 Addy and also a 510 mod, 14500 telescoping, so you can actually use a 14800 battery in there if you wanted to as well, for about $155 total, which is pretty damn reasonable for a high-end device. So it is, let me show it to you again real quick. So this is the Pandora. See, this is the little juice tank on the inside there. This is what it looks like as a hybrid. So again, this is a 14500 battery in there on the Sturm V2 as a hybrid connected directly. The base of the Addy is in direct contact with the positive end of the battery there. It's about, like I said, 60 millimeters in length. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. 50 millimeters in length, 123 millimeters total for the hybrid with the SMV2 and the Pandora on top of it, and that's without the drip tip, and a 14500 battery in it, and it is 18 millimeter diameter. It holds about 3 milliliters of juice, which is pretty good for a small Addy. It is made of stainless steel. The insulators are PEEK, which is a type of plastic. It also has some brass parts, and the tank is actually made of a cut syringe material because supposedly that is the safest plastic to use in a tank, according to Sturm when I talked to him before the review. So, let's talk about this little guy. So, like I said, I'm using this in hybrid mode. You have other options. Let me show you some of the stuff that this comes with. It comes with wick material, it comes with stainless steel cable, it comes with mesh, it comes with a whole bunch of different parts that you can use to set it up in a number of different ways. It has, hold on a sec, it has a whole little bag of tricks that come with it that I'm going to show you real quick. So you have the 510 connection that you can put on top of the mod here if you want to turn it into a 510, 14.5, or a 14XXX telescoping mod. You also have the 510 connection for the Addy. So if you want to, you can take the atomizer off the mod, or you can buy it without the mod, and then what you do is, and I'm not going to disassemble this, I'm just going to show you. You take this little brass piece off the bottom of the Addy right there. You replace that little brass piece with a different little brass piece, which I'm going to find in a moment here. With this little brass piece right here that comes with it, and what you end up with is, and I'm not attaching it, so this is going to stick out further than it would, but you have a 510 device, or a 510 atomizer. And it's very easy to switch it over. I'm just not going to disassemble everything and put everything back together, because one thing that does happen sometimes when you take the screw off here and put the other piece on to turn it into a 510 connection. It can screw up the positive post a little bit. It can turn the positive post if you're not careful. And I don't want to screw up my wicking coil setup right now just because this is a live review, and I don't want to have to fiddle with it to get it working properly again. So just take my word for it. You just remove this part, replace it with this piece, and then you can have a 510 connection. It also comes with extra spring. It comes with an insulator that you can sit the wick inside of if you're, if you want to use an insulated wick if you're having issues with shorts. That's a really good way to make it easier to set up a stainless steel mesh wick. It has extra O-ring. So there's a lot of different ways that you can set the device up. As a 510, it's got a number of different ways to set the wick up, like I said. It's recommended by Sturm to use a hybrid wick, which is a mesh and stainless steel cable wick setup, which is actually how I set this up, and I'm going to show that to you here in just a second. So, let's take a look under the top cap. Now, interesting feature here. This has, actually I'll show you the cap itself first before we look under the top cap. The cap has, as you can see here as I turn it, has 3 air holes in it. They vary in size from, I believe, 1.1 millimeter all the way up to 1.8 millimeter. I think the middle one is a 1.4. I think it's 1.1, 1.4, 1.8, something like that. I didn't get those in the official specs from Sturm, so I'm not sure exactly, but basically it's tight draw, medium draw, and extremely airy draw are your options there. Now, and as you can see, it has a raised addy deck, and then it has a little recessed portion where the wick sits. So you can see right there. Let's get real close, and then back up a bit, and maybe my autofocus will cooperate. Real close. There we go. So, as you can see, that is the little recessed part there, and that is where the airflow travels. Now, the way that I set this up with the hybrid wick like he recommended. I did a 4 wrap of 0.8 millimeter Canthal, flat Canthal, and I set it up with a hybrid wick. And basically the hybrid wick is, because this device wicks so exceptionally well, I mean, when if you take a hard pull on this device with it tilted toward you, with the wick tilted toward you like you would on maybe a regular Genesis, the juice will pull right up the wick hole and into your mouth because it wicks so well. It's designed to wick extremely well, so you're never going to have wicking issues with this device, unless you try to use a toothpick as a wick, or I don't know. But so the hybrid wick, basically what you're going to do is take a piece of mesh shaped like an L. So you have a small piece of mesh that you're going to wrap around the stainless steel cable, and then at the base of that small piece of mesh you leave a long piece of the mesh to wrap around more times. Not the part that the coil's wrapped around, but the part that sits inside the wick hole. That's where you want that extra piece of mesh, because you want to be able to wrap it around the wick enough times that the mesh actually fills the wick hole, so that you don't have the juice flooding up into the top cap. Which you will, because it does wick so extremely well. So he does recommend doing that. If you use one of the insulators or one of the other wick options, you're not going to have that problem. You also have the ability to set up a glass Pyrex tube wick hybrid. That's one option. You can, I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of different wick options that actually come with the device. So, you can play around with different setups if you want to, but this is the one, like I said, that he recommended, and this is what I've been using, and I've been very happy with it. Let's take a look at the addy deck real quick. So you have fill hole. You have fill hole. You also have the ability to set that up as a U-wick. That's a plugged hole on the side there, but you can unplug that and set it up as a U-wick. Then you have the fill hole on the other side. And then you have your raised negative post there. and then you have that little recessed area right there, which is where the airflow travels over the wick. And as you can see, I've got the stainless steel wrapped around enough times to fill the wick hole. So let's talk about how it vapes. Where's my top cap here? I'm going to use... So first, we're going to try it a few different ways, alright? So first we're going to do the tight draw. Try it this way. Another thing that Sturm told me, because it does wick so extremely well, especially when you first fill the Addy up, you actually don't want to do the Jenny tilt that people are so used to doing, where you point the wick hole toward yourself and tilt the device up. If you do that, you will suck juice into your mouth. What you want to do is, I found it works best if I turn it to the left. It's just easier for me to, I don't know why it's easier for me to remember, but you point the wick hole either to the left or to the right rather than toward you or away from you so that it doesn't flood. And then you don't need to tilt it at all when you vape. So we'll do, like I said, small air hole first. Very, very good flavor, very warm. Vapor production's very good. Now, I'm going to rotate and switch to the second air hole. And this one, like I said, is I think a 1.4, maybe a 1.5. So this is an airier draw. As you can see, there's an increase in the vapor production. The flavor and the warmth take a little bit of a hit, though. Yeah, so the vapor obviously increasing with the size of the air hole. Let's try one more, and we'll go all the way to the open draw. I'm just going to take a big lung pull off of this thing because it's just such a huge hole that I can... It's like breathing through a straw. Very thick vapor, as you can see. So, you know, but the warmth and the flavor go down as you go down in air hole size. I actually prefer the smallest one. Personally, I just, you know, I enjoy a nice, strong, sharp, warm vape. I don't really worry as much about the vapor production. So, but you have options. If you want to take lung pulls, you've got a big old hole on there. If you like an airier draw, you know, you've got the middle hole and then the small hole if you want a nice, warm, flavorful vape. So... It's still good vapor production even from the small hole, but like I said, it's warmer and more flavorful. So overall, really like this device. It's got quite a bit of innovation. You know, I did have some issues with it flooding a little bit at first, and I talked to Sturm and he explained that, you know, it's part of the design so that it wicks really well. And you just have to grow accustomed to that if you're used to, you know, vaping on Genesis-style devices that are standard Genesis-style, you know, with the tank, the wick hole, and, you know, that you have to, you know, typically you're not going to be able to fire them completely vertically for an extended period of time unless you're doing a higher ohm coil. You know, you either tilt them, you have to tilt them a little bit with the, you know, with the air hole pointed down toward you. So this takes a little bit of adjustment. You don't want to vape it that way. You want to vape it with the hole to the side, or you'll have some flooding issues, especially when you first fill it. But if you vape it the way that it's intended to be used, it's a fantastic vape. No dry hits ever. In fact, you know, like I said, more overwicking. If there were any issues with it at all, it would be that I had some overwicking until I learned how to use it properly. You know, user error. So let me take another pull off of this guy. Very, very good. I really like it a lot. It's a really good device. It's well made. It feels sturdy. It's got a lot of nice features to it. I like that it comes with a bunch of different bits and bobs, so you can set it up however you want to right out of the box. You don't have to buy supplies for it. You can test a bunch of different setups out right out of the box, which is really cool. You know, and the price for it is very, very reasonable. Like I said, you know, you're talking about $155 is going to get you the mod, the Addy, and a hybrid. So basically, you're going to get 3 devices for 155 bucks, which is pretty damn reasonable. So, you know, it's kind of similar to like the you know, like the Fecta from Faceless, where you have, you know, a hybrid. You also have a mod, and then you have an Addy, and I believe he's doing a 510 connection for that Addy as well. So, really cool stuff. Definitely a big fan of this one. Sturm has, you know, been around a long time, and he's been making mods a long time. He definitely knows what he's doing, and he made another really good one. So I definitely give a thumbs up to the Pandora. Highly recommend it. So there you have it. That's the Pandora.